Right now on your news channel live at 6, voters up and down the coast head to the polls to cast their ballots, and the polls close in just 2 hours.
We'll go live to the night's biggest races, from the presidential primary to local county supervisor races.
Plus, Annika is tracking more rain for communities up and down the coast. Find out when it arrives. Your news channel live at 6 starts right now.
Now, the largest election team up and down the coast. Live coverage of the Super Tuesday primary starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Scott Hennessy.
And I'm Beth Farnsworth. Thanks for joining us on this Super Tuesday. The 3rd District Supervisor's race is one to watch.
That's where we start tonight at 6. Due to redistricting, it stretches from western Goleta to Lompoc. Tracy Lair is in Goleta with a look at that race. Tracy.
That's right. I'm in Western Goleta at the Brandon School Library, one of the polling places, and it just got busier with people who are walking here with their children, showing them what voting is all about. This race is a much larger district geographically, and incumbent Joan Hartman has 2 challengers, including Janelle Osborne. She happens to be the mayor of Lompoc, and also Frank Troyes, who is out of Santa Ynez, and one of them needs to get 50% or more of the vote to win this race. Otherwise, it's a runoff. And a lot of people here are interested in this race because it really could be someone new or it could be the incumbent. All of them have plans tonight. One is at a city council meeting in Lompoc. The others are going to parties in Santa Ynez and also in Goleta, and we'll be covering those parties later tonight. And here's what one of the voters had to say.
Well, first of all, I think based on what we talked about before, it's expanded so much in the last few years. So being able to vote like this has been so convenient.
A lot of the people are allowed to come out here till 8 p.m. and we're seeing people either drop off their ballots or going inside to cast their ballots. There's still time to do that, and we'll be covering the 3rd District tonight and more races this evening and bring them to you. Reporting live from Western Goleta, I'm News Channel reporter Tracy Lair.
All right, Tracy, thank you for that update. In San Luis Obispo County, 3 supervisor races are on the ballot, but only one is contested, the seat for District 5.
News Channel's Dave Alley is live in San Luis Obispo, where he caught up with both candidates this afternoon. Dave.
Well, Scott and Beth, all eyes in San Luis Obispo County are on one race in particular, Board of Supervisors, District 5, since that is the only race that is up for grabs tonight. Incumbents John Pashong in District 1, Don Ortiz-Legg in District 3. Both are running unopposed, so they'll each be able to retain their seats. But right here in District 5, it's a tight battle between 2 candidates that know each other quite well. This race, again, in District 5, San Luis Obispo County, features a pair of Atascadero City Council members. The mayor, the current mayor, Heather Moreno, is facing off against Mayor Pro Tem Susan Funk. Now, each has served together on the City Council there in Atascadero for several years. Now they are running to represent a very large geographic region in this county. It includes many parts of the North County all the way out into the remote east, down here into parts of San Luis Obispo. The Moreno campaign, that is centering on investing in public safety as well as protecting taxpayers and addressing homelessness, while Funk has been focusing her campaign on housing, homelessness as well, water and infrastructure. Moreno and Funk spent much of their day here in San Luis Obispo over at the Cal Poly campus, speaking with students there as each of those 2 candidates wrapped up a very year-long campaign.
This campaign over the past year has been tremendous, the outpouring of support. There's so many people that say, oh, I wish I could do more. And what they don't realize is it's everybody individually doing every part that they can do. And it all comes together in an incredible campaign.
We've been working really hard all year long, connecting with voters. 12,000 knocks on doors. Probably that many phone calls as well. And today is when it all comes together, because today the voters get to make their say.
Now whoever wins this race will have to wait a long time, though, to take their seat here at the Board of Supervisors chamber. They're all going to have to wait until January 2025. That's when the winner will be sworn in. Whoever does win the race will be supervisor-elect. They will also be able to retain their seat on the Atascadero City Council through the remainder of the year. Now, both candidates will hold watch parties later on tonight in Atascadero After this, we're going to make the short drive up into Atascadero, up the grade, and we will attend both those. We'll get sound, we'll interview both candidates as well, get their reaction, plus the latest results from this race. It should be a very tight one. We'll have that coming up later tonight at 10 and 11 o'clock. But for right now, reporting live in San Luis Obispo, I'm News Channel reporter Dave Alley.
Dave, thank you very much.
And several important local races will be decided with today's election, and that has voters motivated.
John Palmentary live at the county elections office, where he got a behind-the-scenes look at the voting process. John?
We've been here all afternoon, and the county elections office told me that their office is transparent. So we asked, well, let's go behind the doors and see what's going on with your ballots when they arrive here at the elections office. And with that, we went inside the elections process. The ballots already cast by mail in drop boxes or handed over in person come here to the main elections office on Calle Real. And here, the ballots are checked to make sure the envelope is signed and the signature matches the one on file. When the envelopes are open and the ballot is flattened out for the counting machines, it's also inspected in case there's something unusual, such as additional markings or something out of the ordinary. The system is a combination of both machines and a human review throughout the entire process.
So it's not solely a human process, it's not wholly a machine process, it's a combination of both. The reason for that really is that machines have very good accuracy that humans tend to err, have a margin of error that's much higher, machines much lower. But there are things that machines can't do that humans can do, which is, has more to do with judgment. So it's a collaborative process between man and machine.
The elections office has a special team to look over ballots that may have been, for example, overvoted. That would be if you have a race that has too many candidates marked off. Now, while that vote for that race may not be accepted, the rest of the ballot will count. The same goes for races where you don't vote for anyone. Everything on that ballot will count as well. All the ballots are always in an area with two people or more, and they are never left alone. And all of the ballots that are coming in today will go through that same process. They'll go through the machine to screen it for the signature, open up the envelope, flatten it, check for mismarkings, and then get it through the elections process and get it counted. They have about 30 days to verify this election with the Secretary of State. Now, later on tonight, I'm covering the race between Das Williams and Roy Lee for the 1st District Supervisor in Santa Barbara County, a district that stretches from the far end of the Carpinteria Valley up to and including the large portion of Santa Barbara. And we'll hear from both of those candidates tonight at 10 and 11 o'clock. Right here behind me is the box where they are dropping off ballots at the elections office here near Goleta, right next to the jail. And we had a steady stream of cars earlier this afternoon at 4 and 5. It seems to be tapering down, but here we are about 2 hours away from the closure of this presidential primary election, and we still have steady stream of cars coming in, and a lot of people coming into the election office still to do their voting. Some are just doing it in person here in the polling places inside the elections office, and many people have brought in their kids as well. Reporting outside of the main elections office in Santa Barbara County on this Super Tuesday, I'm News Channel reporter John Palmentary.
John, thank you very much. People hitting the polls across the county.
And News Channel reporter Christina Rodriguez joins us now live in Santa Maria. Christina, you talked to California State Assembly District 30 candidates.
Hey there, Beth and Scott. Yes, that's right. Both candidates have plans for new legislature. So folks just have a couple more hours to get out and vote today. The primary election will impact both San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara County. The California State Assembly District 30 incumbent Don Addis from Morro Bay assumed office in 2022 and is running for re-election. Runner-up Dalila Epperson from Salinas says she is running to combat parental rights, crime, and homelessness.
We were able to pass housing legislation for seniors and students, legislation that provides justice for survivors of child sexual abuse, legislation that opens doors and really serves the Central Coast community. So it's been an honor to serve this last session.
We're looking at the crime rate going up. It's just exponential since that was put forth into law, Prop 47. And then the homelessness, of course, that's we got to stop throwing money at that, and we have to resolve the root issues.
On the ballot for Santa Barbara County District 4 Supervisor is incumbent Bob Nelson of Orchid, who is running for re-election. His runner-up is Krishna Flores of Los Alamos, Vice Chair of Manzanita Public Charter School. We will be following the election tonight and have candidate reaction later on this evening. For now, live in Santa Maria, I'm News Channel reporter Christina Rodriguez. Beth, Scott, back to you.
Thank you, Christina. Coming up today on your news channel live at 6, political analyst Jerry Roberts joins us in studio to break down tonight's critical races.
And we do have another rain system headed our direction. It's been affecting Northern California with rain and snow. More on that system up next.
Welcome back. Political analyst Jerry Roberts joins us now live here in studio. Welcome. Always like having you joining us on these election nights. And Scott and I reported early this broadcast about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Voter turnout not so super on this Super Tuesday. It was what, low 20% or so in Santa Barbara County alone.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of drama in this election. You know, we're getting the presidential race that nobody wants, rematch between President Biden and Donald Trump. There's not a lot of enthusiasm, even among Democrats, for President Biden. You know, former President Trump may boost Republican turnout just a little bit. So there's not a lot to excite people. You know, it's interesting because the legislature, I don't know, 5-6 times in the last 2 decades has changed the date of this primary to try to be relevant to the presidential race, and we couldn't be more irrelevant tonight.
Right. Here we are on Super Tuesday with 14 other states voting tonight, and as you say, we expect certain results that are going to come out tonight. One race that's interesting is the U.S. Senate race, where you have a clear favorite in Adam Schiff, and you have the top two. So who's he going to face? Is it going to be Katie Porter, who's another strong Democratic candidate, or Steve Garvey, the biggest name Republican in the race?
Yeah, I think that is one question we'll find out, not necessarily tonight because of all the votes that'll be left over. But Adam Schiff, the LA congressman who led the first impeachment trial against President Trump, has all of the Democratic establishment backing, has all of the money. He's clearly headed for first. Katie Porter, who is from the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, was giving him a real race for a while until Steve Garvey got in as a Republican. You got to be pretty old to remember Garvey playing first base back in those days, but he's always wanted to be in the Senate. Right. And because he is the only Republican, and because we have the so-called jungle primary where the top two, very good chance he'll finish second or even first. He was first in the UC Berkeley poll today. So that's who Schiff wants. Okay. Schiff's Independent Expenditure Committee has been spending a lot of money to boost Garvey by saying, oh, Garvey's a dangerous Trump guy. So all of the Republicans, of course, want to vote for him. Right. So that's helping him. It's pushing Katie Porter down. She's been trying to boost another Republican, Eric Early. It's all very strange. But it's either going to be Katie Porter or Steve Garvey. But Schiff really would much rather run against Steve Garvey.
Okay, and we do want to talk about the Proposition 1. I think we're going to have to wait until the next half hour for that. Many layers to that, a lot of controversy as well.
Yes.
Jerry's going to be with us throughout the night.
Thanks.
All right, I want to switch gears now and check in with Annika. We do know that rain is headed our way, wondering if late voters are going to catch any of that downpour, if there's a downpour tonight.
No, they will be good to go, but it will get...
We've got live team election coverage for you on this Super Tuesday.
And we'll continue our discussion with political analyst Jerry Roberts, plus more of your forecast. The news will continue next at 6:30.
Right now at 10, early voting results are in. We have the numbers in key local races in today's primary election.
Your news channel is with the candidates up and down the coast. We have reaction to the vote. Our team coverage of Super Tuesday starts right now.
Now, the largest election team up and down the coast. Live coverage of the Super Tuesday primary starts right now.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Beth Farnsworth.
I'm Scott Hennessy. So glad you're with us on this Super Tuesday. So much to get to. We have crews up and down the coast talking with candidates and looks at the election results so far locally and statewide as well as nationally. Let's begin with a look at the U.S. Senate race. Top two advance to the November election. We see Democrat Adam Schiff leading the way with 36% of the vote. He moves on to November, where his opponent will be Republican and former baseball star Steve Garvey. And we are keeping an eye on the biggest statewide races and propositions.
And News Channel anchor CJ Ward joins us now with a closer look. CJ?
Well, the U.S. Senate race that Scott just talked about is for the full term that begins in January. Dianne Feinstein held this seat for more than 30 years until her death last October. Now, this race is pretty crowded with 27 candidates hoping to represent California in Congress. This is a primary, so the two candidates, as Scott mentioned, with the most votes, regardless of party affiliation, move on to face off in November's general election. And right now it appears to be Democrat Adam Schiff and Republican Steve Garvey. Now, this race is a two-parter. Californians are also being asked to decide who should finish Feinstein's term, which ends in January. Now, right now, Adam Schiff is leading 33.9% to Steve Garvey's 31% in that race. And we'll update these numbers for you. And we'll have reaction from Steve Garvey coming up at 11. Beth, Scott, back to you.
All right, CJ, thank you. And here's a look at Proposition 1, the Behavioral Health Infrastructure Bond Act of 2023. Majority of the voters saying yes. They want to spend more than $6 billion to handle some of the crises that are happening throughout the state of California.
That's a close one, to be sure. A look now at the race for Congress in the 24th District. The top two candidates advance to the November election. Incumbent Democrat Salud Carbajal wins this primary, 58% of the vote. His general election opponent will be Republican Thomas Cole.
And to the U.S. Representatives race for District 19, Jimmy Panetta, 69% of the votes garnered right now, so he will serve another term in that district.
From the San Luis Obispo area down south now in District 37 as we move to a state assembly race now, District 37. Assemblyman Greg Hart garnering the majority of the votes against his challenger, Sari Dominguez. Joining us now live is State Assembly District 30 incumbent Greg Hart.
And Greg, what is your reaction to the results that are in so far?
I'm very gratified with the support that I've received so far, and it's a very exciting evening tonight, as you can see. A lot of supporters here to join in the celebration, and it's a very exciting evening.
We can see that. A good crowd there behind you tonight. Greg, you've met with voters on the street at informal open house type of events in North and South counties. As you now get back to work and you campaign for the November election, tell us what are some of the issues that voters have brought forth to you that you're looking to address?
Well, our quality of life in Santa Barbara County and South San Luis Obispo County is primary concern of voters. They want to protect the beauty and the natural environment that we have, address climate change, protect a woman's right to choose her own reproductive health and the protection of her own body. And obviously, the cost of living is a very major concern. Housing prices, affordability of housing, these are all big issues that we're going to continue to work hard in Sacramento to try and deliver results for all Californians.
And those are a huge issue. What are your thoughts on Proposition 1, the bill that will spend more than $6 billion to address homelessness in California, among other disasters is what a lot of voters are calling them? The vote is too close to call right now.
Well, I'm really hopeful that Proposition 1 will be successful. It's very important that we have these additional resources to invest in addressing homelessness and mental health. The governor's been a strong advocate for this effort, and I voted for it in the state legislature. So I'm really hopeful that the voters will be supportive and give us the majority that we need to have those resources in our communities.
The state has spent a lot on homelessness over the years. Greg, what do you think that Proposition 1 will be able to provide with this funding to really help solve the homelessness issue?
Well, one of the most effective intervention strategies that we're using here in Santa Barbara County is the tiny homes project that's the County of Santa Barbara's leading and that Dignity Moves, the local nonprofit organization, is supporting. It's been very successful both in downtown Santa Barbara, up in Lompoc, and soon to be in Santa Maria. And we need to have funding to make sure that those kind of projects that deliver spaces for folks to come indoors, get off the street, and also the mental health support services that can keep people on track and reclaim their lives and give them a productive future as part of our community.
And it's also a way to help with the drug abuse situation, the fentanyl overdose, fatal overdoses that are really historic in the state of California, and making sure that those people get the help that they need and they're not ending up behind bars in jails.
Absolutely. The treatment is the solution for addiction, not incarceration, and we need to make sure that there are the rehabilitation programs, the job training programs for folks to get their lives back on track. There are too many people who have been stuck with addiction issues, both alcohol and drug addiction, but fentanyl is a huge issue, a public safety and health issue, and the state legislature's working really hard to address that. There's a number of bills this cycle in the legislature to address fentanyl addiction directly.
Assemblymember Hart, we'll let you get back to your celebration. Congratulations on a strong showing tonight.
Thank you very much. Great to be with you tonight.
Many more results to get to here tonight. Let's look at San Luis Obispo District 5 supervisor results here. This is the only supervisor seat in San Luis Obispo that's being contested of the three that are open, and we see a very close race here between Heather Moreno and Susan Funk, two Atascadero City Council members. 50-50, and what is that? About 17 votes that divide them at this point. News Channel reporter Dave Alley is covering this for us. He joins us live from Atascadero.
And Dave, this is a close supervisor's race. As Scott just mentioned, Soul County voters should be pretty used to this by now, though.
Yeah, it's kind of like deja vu all over again. Just 17 votes, pretty much a dead heat right now at this moment here, just after 10 o'clock here on election night. And the race for District 5 here in this district, well, it is shaping up to be something similar to a pair of past recent elections for county supervisor here in San Luis Obispo County. A couple recent that came down to less than 100 votes back in 2018. We remember then District 4 supervisor Lynn Compton beat out then challenger Jimmy Paulding by just 60 votes. Then 2 years ago, current incumbent Bruce Gibson in District 2, he beat out challenger Bruce Jones by just 13 votes. So with the margin here, just by just a razor-thin margin, we could indeed be something similar here in District 5. So this race, again, features a pair of two candidates that know each other quite well, both Atascadero City Council members, the current mayor, Heather Moreno, current mayor pro tem, Susan Funk. Both candidates held their watch parties this evening at local restaurants here in Atascadero. Moreno has been on the council since 2012. She's served as mayor since 2018. She has won the mayor seat 3 times in the past. Now, her campaign centers on investing in public safety, protecting taxpayers, and addressing homelessness. Funk has been on this council here in Atascadero since 2018. She has chaired the county's Homeless Services Oversight Council over the last couple of years. Her campaign centering on housing, homelessness, water, and infrastructure. Both candidates say they have worked extremely hard over the past year to get to this day, but they know the final result and the winner of this race will likely not be known for quite some time.
This is the early part of the process. It's the very beginning, and it's something that will unfold over the next couple of weeks. And so really, we just need to be patient and optimistic.
We all have to chill a little bit and be patient with the process. You know, democracy is not a speed contest, but we got to do it right, count the votes right.
So it may take a while to figure out who will win this race, and whoever does will have to exercise a little bit more patience because they're going to have to wait quite a while to take the seat inside the board chambers. The winner will not be sworn in until January 2025. The supervisor-elect, though, will remain on the Atascadero City Council through the remainder of the year. And as mentioned, 2 other supervisor races are taking place here in San Luis Obispo County, both incumbents in District 1, John Pichong, as well as in District 3, Don Ortiz-Legg, both running unopposed, so they will retain their seats on the Board of Supervisors. Pichong was first elected to the board back in 2016. Ortiz-Legg was appointed in 2020, then won election in 2022. That's the latest from here. We'll have more at 11. For right now, reporting live in Atascadero, I'm News Channel reporter Dave Alley.
All right, Dave, thank you for that. And now to Santa Barbara County's District 1 supervisorial race, pitting incumbent Doss William, a veteran politician, against challenger Roy Lee, Carpinteria City Councilman, appears to be garnering the majority of the votes at this hour, 51% to 49%. News Channel reporter John Palminteri is covering this race, and he joins us live in Goleta.
Well, this race has garnered so much energy in the last month, maybe more than any other race we have been covering. And it appears, as you are saying, that it is paying off in the 1st District. Longtime politician and incumbent Supervisor Das Williams has worked to hold his seat for another 4 years, but has been challenged on issues including the controversial cannabis industry in the Carpinteria Valley and also the short life of the flood protection ring nets in Montecito. For Carpinteria Councilmember Roy Lee, he has an independent mind. He is not in office, he says, for political career, and he has a style that gives voters more protections over the quality of life on the South Coast.
People want change. People are ready for change. They always have the same thing and they want something new, something different, but someone who they can trust, and I'm that person.
And if anybody has strategies of how to make flood control or carbon filtration happen faster, I would love to hear those ideas because those are goals that I share. And so, open door, no matter how tonight turns out.
Both Roy Lee and Das Williams have not had many face-to-face debates in this election, which means it's been on the ground, neighborhood by neighborhood, with a strategy that goes right to front doors. And also a review of the credentials of service for both of them has been on the line. And so it has been a very close race. As you say, the numbers show less than 400 votes separating these two candidates, one of the closest races we are covering on the Central Coast. We'll certainly see how that shakes out with the rest of the ballots that came in yesterday and today that are still going through the system. We are in Goleta tonight. We started out in Carpinteria, which is the 1st District, at Roy Lee's party to get his interview. That district goes through Summerlin, Montecito, and Santa Barbara. But Das Williams was here in Goleta, so we caught up with him here. Reporting live in Goleta, I'm News Channel reporter John Palmenteri.
All right, John, thank you for that. We'll have more on that throughout the evening as well. Now to the supervisorial race in District 3. Two challengers trying to unseat incumbent Democrat Joan Hartman. Janelle Osborne, the mayor of Lompoc, and Frank Troyce, a Republican. Joan Hartman with 63% of the vote tonight. District 3 stretches from western Goleta to Lompoc because of redistricting.
Tracy Lair is in Goleta with a closer look at that race.
That's right, I'm at the Democratic Party here at Pepe's, and if those numbers hold, Hartman won't be in a runoff. But we have done some party hopping earlier today. We saw Joan Hartman here. We spoke to Janelle Osborne in Lompoc where she had a city council meeting, and we also stopped in Buellton and talked to Frank Troyce. But here is what Frank had to say earlier tonight before the early returns came in.
So all of the issues facing the county. So it's going to be public safety, it's going to be homelessness, it's going to be housing, it's going to be education, it's going to be cannabis. And again, because this is a swing seat for the county, I think it's going to be important for everyone to view the symbolism of what's going to be happening tonight. And that's been echoing in all the conversations we've been having.
Now, Republicans were really proud of getting the vote out, so they hope these numbers will change. But we also stopped at other parties tonight, and when we came back to Goleta, we had a chance to talk to Joan Hartman. Here's what she had to say.
It's been a long 2-year effort to introduce myself to new constituents. 60% are new, and so I think this is a vote of confidence in me and my staff and the county. And so I'm very pleased.
She told me that she's been up since 3 this morning. She plans to spend some time with her family and her horse before getting to work on the county issues. And we'll hear about those issues tonight at 11. Reporting live at the party here in Goleta, I'm News Channel reporter Tracy Lair.
Thank you, Tracy. More early returns here to look at. State Senator Monique Limon fighting to keep her seat in District 21. Her challenger, Elijah Mack. We see Limon, 65% of the vote. Over 66,000 people have voted for her. 61% of precincts reporting.
And now to the state Senate race in District 17. A third term looks promising for Democratic incumbent John Laird. 68% of the vote compared to 19% for the second runner-up. Another huge victory tonight for former President Donald Trump. Looking at results in the Republican presidential race, however, Nikki Haley, Trump's only challenger, landed her first Super Tuesday win tonight in Vermont. Looking at the numbers right now, 75% Trump, Nikki Haley garnering 21%.
As for the Democratic presidential primary election, Joe Biden, as expected, 90% of the vote in. Marianne Williamson with 3%. That's with 33% of precincts reporting. President Biden, the clear winner. And we're going to bring in political analyst Jerry Roberts now to talk about some of the results that we have seen so far. Jerry, let's start with the supervisorial race in Santa Barbara County. Das Williams against Roy Lee. You have been critical of Das Williams in your column that you wrote on your website, Newsmakers with JR, and you came out and you said that you're supporting Roy Lee, you're voting for him. So what's your reaction to what we've seen tonight?
I'm actually pretty surprised that it is close and that Roy is winning. You know, there's been so much unhappiness about this cannabis ordinance from so many different perspectives, whether it's the odor or the campaign contributions, and I think that's kind of showing up. You know, Laura Capps challenged Das Williams 4 years ago and came, I think, within switching about 750 votes. So, you know, but Roy was really outspent like 3-1. So to me, it's a surprise, but let's wait and see what the final vote tally is.
And John Palminteri also brought up the other issue of the removal of ring nets in the canyons above Montecito. And this comes years after the devastating deadly mudslide debris flow, but also in the wake of these atmospheric river storms that we've experienced as well. And Das Williams took a big hit for that.
Well, he did. You know, it was a private group that raised all the money to put them in originally, and they, you know, were able to bypass a lot of permitting or at least speed it up. That time ran out, so they either had to get some money from the county or take them out. It wasn't that Das Williams was against the money necessarily. I think the criticism was that he wouldn't bring it before the board to have a vote on whether they should. And so, you know, the Public Works Department, the retiring Public Works Director, who's going to be out, I think, next week, just sort of took it upon himself. So, I think there was a lot of feeling that maybe everybody wasn't getting the same story from the supervisor about that. You know, a lot of support for that in Montecito, which is, of course, a small but high turnout part of this district.
Sure.
Still a lot of votes to be counted, certainly. One other supervisor race we can talk about here in about the 30 seconds we have here is Joan Hartman, looking very strong.
Yeah, big surprise to me. I thought it would be much closer than that. You know, Frank Troyes, there was a lot of controversy in the Republican Party about him. We could look at the Republican County Committee vote to see what that's about. But yeah, very, very strong showing by Joan Hartman in a new district.
Yeah, and as Tracy reported, if she holds with over 50%, then she does not need to have a November election. She'll just win off of this primary here today. All right, Jerry, we will check back with you throughout this newscast here as we move along now to 4th District Supervisor Bob Nelson, seeking a second term in Santa Barbara County. He has 74% of the vote right now with 6,697 votes. Krishna Flores, 26% of the votes.
And for more on this, we go to News Channel reporter Christina Rodriguez joining us live in Santa Maria with candidate reaction. Christina?
Hey there, Beth and Scott. Yes, that's right. It looks like Bob Nelson will be District 4 Supervisor for another 4 years as he takes the lead with over 74%. Guests cheer Bob Nelson on as the community celebrates at the Santa Maria Country Club. Opponent Krishna Flores decided to keep track of the race at home with family. She has over 26% right now of votes, but Nelson takes the race with over 74%. He says he's happy to have an opponent this term, but is enjoying watching his community show up for him. Nelson tells me his work continues tomorrow morning in Washington, D.C.
I'm ecstatic. It's a really honor to see that level of support in my community for my service. It looks like my voters want to have me back for another 4 years, and it's really my dream job. So be able to have that opportunity is it's really special. Tomorrow morning, I'm hopping on a plane to fly to Washington, D.C. to advocate for the Oasis Senior Center. We're going to ask for some federal earmark money so that we can finally get that thing built. We've got a lot of projects in the 4th District that need to see fruition.
District 4 supervisor serves eastern portions of Santa Maria, Orchid, Vandenberg Village, and Los Alamos. The new term will begin in January. For now, reporting from Santa Maria, I'm News Channel reporter Christina Rodriguez. Beth, Scott, back to you.
Christina, thank you very much. On just about any other night, we would have talked about the weather by now because there's rain in the forecast.
That's right, which is a good thing. If you didn't like the results for the election tonight, perhaps you'll like the forecast with Annika.
Yeah, better late than never, you could say. We are definitely seeing a nice day today.
That's 24 minutes of nonstop news and weather to start tonight's hour-long newscast. Ahead tonight, we'll go behind the scenes in the elections office on Calle Real in the Santa Barbara area to show you the process of the vote. Coming up. We continue our election night coverage with a look at the early returns here from State Assembly District 30. Dawn Addis from Morro Bay, 67% of the vote, leading Delilah Epperson right now, who has 22,000 plus votes compared to 45,000 for Addis, with just under half of the precincts reporting.
Your news channel got a behind-the-scenes look at the voting process in Santa Barbara County. The ballots already cast by mail in drop boxes or handed over in person come to the main elections office on Calle Real. The ballots are checked then to make sure that the envelope is signed and that the signature matches the one on file. Then the envelopes are opened and the ballot is flattened out for the counting machines. It is also inspected in case there is something unusual, such as additional markings. The system is a combination of both the machines and a human review throughout the process.
So it's not solely a human process, it's not wholly a machine process, it's a combination of both. The reason for that really is that machines have very good accuracy that humans tend to err, have a margin of error that's much higher, machines much lower. But there are things that machines can't do that humans can do, which is, has more to do with judgment. So it's a collaborative process between man and machine.
The elections office has a special team to look over the ballots that may have been overvoted. For example, a race that has too many candidates marked off. While the vote for that race may not be accepted, the rest of the ballot will count. And all ballots are always in an area with 2 or more people. They are never left alone.
Much more election coverage still to come on News Channel 11. Other races to look out for and a live report from the 3rd District Supervisor's race coming up.